you only live once. Are you ever really living unless you're living the life that you dream? And if I get eaten by a shark now, hopefully that shark had a good meal. All I wanted to do was learn more about sharks. One thing led to another, and I realized instead of becoming a scientist, why not become a cinematographer and shoot vivid images of these animals to show the world what they look like. All I knew is I wanted to dive with sharks, which are the best divers in the world. Filming wildlife is one of the most rewarding and amazing jobs on the planet, yet at the same time, the most unpredictable and challenging. My fascination far outweighed the fear of that animal. I don't live in LA, I don't live in New York or Chicago or San Francisco because I want to live a very quiet, peaceful life when I'm not out doing the quote-unquote dangerous jobs. There's not a single day that goes by that I don't have someone tell me that I'm crazy or that their biggest fear is sharks. At first I thought, just like your parents tell you, it can't be real. This has got to be some made-up sea monster. There's no sound effects. There's no big, scary, dark bass tones. It is silent. But if you remain zen and realize that everything you've been taught about this animal is essentially a lie, then you can beat it. Not beat the animal, but beat your own mind. Stay there, remain calm, and just understand that you're sharing the same liquid space with this animal that's been around before dinosaurs, way before you. It's just coexisting. Time and time again, you go to these hotspots, these locations where these animals are supposed to have been for millennia, and they're not there. Are they not there because of something you've done? Is it bad luck? Is it human impact? We need to respect and coexist. It just drives me crazy that we really think sometimes that we are the only important thing on this planet. I'm Andy Casagrande. I'm an underwater cinematographer, and I live the life I dream.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants event. My name is Joe Grabowski. I'll be your host for today. If you haven't figured it out already, we are celebrating World Ocean Week. So we have a ton of live ocean action coming your way over the next 5 days. If you want to check it out, I'm going to put a link up here. Our usual website, exploringbytheseat.com/lessons/Ocean Week. We've got probably 16, 17 events over the course of the week, covering everything from sharks to deep sea diving to polar regions. And we just added an event with Her Deepness, Sylvia Earle. So we'll be hanging out with Sylvia on Thursday morning, which obviously we're very much looking forward to. So check those out, and please come and join us as many times as you can this week, because after that, we're kind of winding down for the school year. It's been 10 crazy months, and then after the ocean action, we kind of calm down for the summer and then restart things again in September. So we were just treated to some amazing underwater cinematography from our first speaker, really kicking things off for World Ocean Week, Andy Casagrande. So Andy is an Emmy Award winning cinematographer and television presenter whose filming adventures have taken him all over the world. So he's always using the newest camera tech, using innovative filming techniques to try and show a different side of what many people think are our planet's most feared predators, when really they're actually quite misunderstood. So he specializes in sharks, but his projects have included king cobras, killer whales, and polar bears. He's got over 100 film credits to his name and working with networks that I'm sure you've all heard of, like National Geographic, BBC, Discovery, and Animal Planet. Let's get Andy in here live with us right now. Hey, Andy, how are you?
Joe, how you doing? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
For some reason, I can't hear you again. I don't know why. Technical difficulty here, but I can see you. I just can't hear you. You guys can hear me. What's up, guys? Andy Casagrande here. I'm a wildlife cinematographer. I specialize in sharks. I'm here actually in my workshop. I got some really cool cameras here. I build all my own gear, and it's so much fun. I have no idea why I can't hear you guys. I was testing this earlier. I'm going to switch between a microphone one more time. I got a MacBook Pro speaker, default MacBook Pros. For some reason, neither of them, my volume's maxed out. Let me see if I can turn off Bluetooth. Maybe it's Bluetoothing my voice somewhere. So strange. Joe, I'm so sorry, man. Maybe I wish I knew sign language somehow here.
We hear you.
Headphones? You can hear me. Okay, great.
Yeah. Look at this.
So strange.
In the chat. We'll see if I can get Andy to try and exit and come back in.
So I'm checking all the settings, the camera settings, the audio settings. Everything is set up. So as long as you guys can hear me, I'm sure we can work our way through this, Joe. If that first video you saw is sort of a background story on me, I've loved sharks since I was a little kid, literally since I can remember. I always used to think that sharks were fake, like they weren't real. Your parents tell you not to believe everything you see on TV. It took me a while to believe that they were real, and then once I realized that, I never stopped thinking about them. I actually used to work as a software engineer, sitting at my desk working on networks, and it just sort of drove me crazy. I had to get out into the wild. I moved to South Africa when I was 21 years old and started working with a research team. That's where I took this awesome photo here of this great white shark. And then from there, the rest is history. I got a job with National Geographic. They sent me all around the world to film king cobras and killer whales, lots more sharks and jellyfish and crocodiles. And it's been unbelievable. One of the most incredible careers I could ever imagine. It was totally by accident, by mistake, because I love sharks so much. I moved to Africa, and I thought I was going to become a marine biologist, but when National Geographic offered me a job, I had to say yes, and again, the rest is history. I've been so lucky to work on tons of films. I'm going to pass it back to Joe here. I know we have a lot of different content and things to show you where I put cameras on sharks, and I do a lot of research of my own as well. I've got satellite tags here if you guys are interested in learning about how we track great whites. Ultrasonic tags that we use to track them internally. We take biopsies to find out what they're eating. I could talk all day about that. But what do you guys? Does anyone know what this is? Do you know what animal this came from? This tooth? I'm sure you guys do.
Shout it out. I'll put a couple classrooms in. Shout it out if you know what tooth that is.
Great white.
How you doing? The audio issues. I hear your classroom's great. Where are you guys? Megalodon. That's right. This is a megalodon tooth. That's exactly right. Actually, I'm going diving tomorrow for megalodon teeth in Venice Beach, not California. Venice Beach, Florida. It's just about an hour north of where I am now. I'm in Naples, Florida, and I'm going out to dive and find more of these megalodon teeth, which are pretty incredible. But Joe, I can hear the classrooms.
Okay, and
But
not
for
me.
some reason, I can't hear you.
So weird.
Bizarre.
Classrooms, give me a big wave in the classrooms if you can hear me. Okay. Okay, classrooms can hear me. Okay, can you see the message, Andy, at the bottom?
Okay, I'm gonna try and exit and come back in. There we go. I'll be right back, guys. Sorry about that.
Okay. Well, technology, you can't really predict technology. For some reason, we can hear Andy. He can hear you guys, but he can't hear me. So that's really strange. So we're going to see if he exits and comes back in and if that fixes sound. Let's check it out.
I can hear you, Joe. I hear you loud and clear now.
Okay. So Andy, I have a theory.
Yes.
I think what's happening, for some reason, when I play a video, you lose my sound.
Okay.
So if I play a video and you lose my sound, just come back in.
Okay.
Okay. So Andy, the next thing I want to talk about is you were talking about cool camera gear you use, and I have a video clip of you using some of that gear in the field with the hammerhead. Okay. So you can talk over this video.
Okay.
Because there's no sound on it.
Gotcha.
Okay. Let's make sure I pick the right one. Here we go.
Okay, guys. So this is in the Bahamas, where I've designed these fin cameras, where it's an amazing camera system where you can attach it to the shark's fin. It's totally non-invasive. This shark, actually, in that shot, you can see has a it had an acoustic tag on it. It had ultrasonic fin mount tag there. And this is me about to deploy the fin cam. And basically, this gives you a really cool perspective of what it's like to ride along with a great hammerhead or a great white as they cruise around on the reef. It pops off. It's got, what do you call it? Submarine foam. It's called syntactic foam that's incompressible. So the hammerhead can go 1,000 feet or as deep as it wants, and the foam won't compress. Eventually, there's a little saltwater dissolve link that dissolves, pops off, and allows me to recover the camera. And it gives you a really cool perspective of, what it's like in the day in the life of a hammerhead as it's cruising around. And hammerheads have one of the largest dorsal fins with regards to body ratio of any shark. And you can see there, I just pulled it off. I can either retrieve it manually or it'll pop off naturally. But we've seen some amazing footage with the hammerheads cruising in the sand, looking for the stingrays. They'll use that hammer or the cephalofoil, the front of their head there, as basically almost like a metal detector. But also, you can see here, it actually wants to take the camera off. It's not painful for the shark, but the shark definitely feels that there's something there, and it's creating drag. And for an animal that's perfectly hydrodynamic, built that way through evolution for millions of years, they want to be as streamlined as possible. But for the most part, they sort of forget about the camera. They'll cruise around. You can see they actually hunt a lot on the seagrass. And this behavior here, where they're swimming on its side, scientists analyzed this footage. I've had over 20 different deployments on great hammerheads, and they determined that the hammerheads will swim on its side like this to travel vast distances using their big dorsal fins almost like a sail. So it's almost like a hydrofoil where they can undulate through the water. This might sound like a lot of information, but it's pretty fascinating what you can learn from these cameras that we deploy on these hammerheads, these fin cams. I've also put them on great whites, tiger sharks, nurse sharks, all different types of species, even whale sharks. But let's see. I'm going to see if I have the audio here.
Can you hear me, Andy?
No, I think I lost the audio, so I'm doing a quick comeback here, guys. 1 second.
All right. Well, it is very strange that he loses the audio when videos play, but we're only going to play one more video, so hopefully it won't happen again. And we're going to get into some Q&A action after that.
I think I got you again. I'm glad you you figured out the bug there. See, Joe, he works on his feet. He's fast. He's smart. You guys are lucky to have Joe giving these virtual classroom, this global tour of like the world, for kids around the world. It's amazing.
Yeah, Andy, it's really strange. We're also you're still with me. I just put you backstage for a split second because we're getting double sound, the classrooms are saying. So I know how to prevent that. It's just we're going to pop each other in and out from backstage, so we prevent the double sound. But I do want to play. Actually, you know what? I don't want to do any more video because I don't want to make you duck out with the sound anymore. So, Andy, I know in your workshop down there, you have all kinds of really cool camera gear. I know you have big GoPro setups. Do you want to show us a little bit of camera gear, some of the stuff that you use when you're in the water?
Yeah, for sure. I've got so much gear here. These are a lot of my older camera systems that I started out on, which are the smaller systems. A lot of these are basically outdated, and then there's tons of GoPros that I use. And I even have a GoPro system up there where you can see it's on a rail where I don't know how many GoPros I have on there at the moment, but I've had up to like 30 GoPros at one time shooting a bullet time effect. And then even I'll put, cameras on fan boats. Then over here, I have some of the tracking equipment for the fin. Hey, there's Cosmo. I forget what, Jellycat, I think. But this is some tracking equipment that I use. A lot of my stuff is in these cases here. But here's a camera system that I use for smaller work when I'm on the reef and I need to get really close to something and I don't want to use a larger camera system. Maybe it's a lemon shark or in a small mangrove. Here we go. We got a little Shark Week action here. Shark Week's coming up in July, guys. I've worked on a bunch of shows this year. I'm sure you're going to like them. Here's also a scooter system that I use, which is a lot of fun when you're like going around to try to get smooth shots. A scooter, if you mount a GoPro on the front of a scooter, or you can even travel with, use the scooter as a traveling device and use a larger camera. Let's see. These are pretty cool. A lot of people often ask me how we communicate underwater, and this is one of my full face mask systems with what's called a buddy phone that allows you to talk underwater. And you basically put this on, and then when you're underwater, you tighten this all up, and then it actually has a regulator system, which is right here. Whoa! You put the regulator basically in there, and then you're allowed to push this button here, and you can talk to each other. You can talk to the boat. You can talk to your dive buddy. It's pretty amazing to be able to communicate underwater. Sometimes you don't always want to hear the director or get too much advice on how to film sharks, but it's a great way to keep safe and be able to communicate underwater. One of my favorite things to tell people is that you don't need the best cameras in the world or the most expensive cameras to be a filmmaker, to be a professional, to make money as a storyteller or a content creator. These are small cameras like GoPros and Insta360s. You can rig them onto small little setups like this. You got lights. You don't need a $100,000 camera system that back in the day, you sort of needed this expensive equipment to break into the industry. Now you can literally shoot Hollywood-style content on GoPros or now there's so many competitors. One of my other favorite camera systems, sorry I get so excited with cameras, is this. It's called the Insta360, which is a 360 camera. And to give you an idea of the progress that we have made as humans and filmmakers, this right now, it fits in my hand. It's tiny. It's one camera, one card. And we used to shoot this thing, which was basically 8 different, let me see, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different GoPros in here. All had to be rolling at the same time. And then occasionally a shark would bite it and destroy the dome port or do something. And 6 different cards. It also weighs about, 20 pounds, and this weighs not even a pound. So anyway, it's pretty cool. What I'm trying to tell you is if you're interested in getting into filmmaking or storytelling, or even if you're on social media and you like creating content for people and inspiring people, there's couldn't be a better time in the human history timeline to grab a camera and start creating content, even on your iPhones or whatever phones you use. But anyway, I kind of want to open it up to questions as well, guys. I have tons of gear in here I could tell you about, or tell you stories about sharks or lions or whatever you guys are interested in.
All right. Well, I think the echo's gone too now. Can you hear me okay?
I lost you again, Joe.
Okay.
One more reboot?
Yeah.
No?
Okay.
Yeah? Okay. Sorry, guys.
That's okay. Okay, well, we are having some audio adventures, but it is going to work. We're able to handle them. For some reason, we're getting feedback just between Andy and I, so we will manage that the best that we can. Let's get Andy back in. All right, Andy, can you hear me now?
I got you loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Good, and we're not getting the echo either. So,
excellent.
All right, let's keep us together on the screen and let's start doing some questions. If you lose me again or the classrooms, just pop in and out. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But I will do a shout out. I've got a ton of classrooms here in the chat. Miss Peltier's class. I've got Miss Rosenstein's class and Miss Gertzer's class in New York. Miss Arbuckle's 3rd, 4th graders in Oakville. Miss Brothers in Ottawa. Mrs. Alicia's in New York. Miss Lobosie's grade 6s. We've got Burlington, Ontario. Miss Johnson in Illinois. I'm going to have to stop this. I'm going to have to do this in stages. There's so many. Miss Wines in grade 7 class. 2nd graders in Michigan. I will do more shout outs in just a second, but let's get to some Q&A action here. We've got classrooms backstage and we'll take YouTube questions, but let's start with Mrs. Lascombe's 4th graders. How are we doing, 4th graders?
Good.
Hey, guys.
All right, let's grab a question or two.
Where do you typically find the megalodon teeth?
So there's hot spots around the world to find meg teeth, and one of them is Venice Beach, which is just north of south of Tampa, north of Naples, Florida. Also, there's a place called Meg Ledge off of North Carolina, off of the Outer Banks, where it's in much deeper water. Tomorrow, where I'm going to be diving, it's like 25 feet. The visibility is not very good, but there's teeth scattered throughout this area. And it's often in an area where there's a river washout, like the Peace River washes out, and there's a ton of different megalodon teeth and different fossils that'll wash up in the Peace River. And then there's different areas around the world where you can find meg teeth, but North Carolina and Florida are 2 of the best ones, and they're right sort of in my backyard.
There's mine.
Hey, there you
just
go.
A little piece out of the corner, but it's not bad.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Where did you find that one, or did you pick that up? Or?
A friend of mine goes off North Carolina, so she gave this to me.
That's huge. Yeah, North Carolina is known for bigger teeth, as far as I know. And depending on what sediment you find it in, they're different colors. Some of them are like golden, some of them are blue, some of them are black. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, very cool. All right, 4th graders, let's get another one before we jump to another class.
What's your favorite shark and the teeth of the shark?
Yeah, so my favorite shark of all time is definitely the great white shark, mostly because they just do incredible, impressive hunting displays. They breach out of the water. They get bigger than 20 feet, thousands and thousands of pounds. They all have very unique personalities. Out of all the people in the world, there's no other person that has swam with more great white sharks in more locations than me. So I have a deep understanding, and I love them so much. And they love me too, but they haven't loved me too much where they want to eat me. And I've had a few close calls, but yeah, the great white sharks are my favorite. And what's interesting about them is their teeth do change. When they're small, their teeth are quite slender, and they're targeted for hunting fish. As they get bigger, their teeth widen, they start to serrate, and they're really more designed for like steak knives to dig into dolphins and tuna and seals and other big prey items.
All right, very cool. Let's grab one more class here from backstage. Then we'll do a little YouTube and we'll come back to more classrooms. So let's go to the fantastic 4-5s. How we doing, crew? Oh, I like that shark front.
Nice. I love the shark outfit. Yeah.
Hi, Andy. My name's Els. What is the scariest situation you've ever been in with a shark?
Wow, the scariest. People have asked me this a lot, and the scariest thing actually was I was diving with my wife, Emma. She was in the video earlier with some of the hammerhead footage, and we were diving with these tiger sharks in the Bahamas, and it got a little, just got a little spicy. The sharks got very interested, and one of them tried to bite my wife's head, and at the last second, she pushed the shark away. But what happened was my wife has long blonde hair, and we were feeding the tiger sharks big pieces of white fish called mahi-mahi or dolphin fish. And they have a big fillet, like a big long piece of white fish. And it looked exactly like my wife's ponytail because she has a long white ponytail and this big white piece of fish. And the shark got confused. It was very frustrated trying to bite the fish, and then it saw my wife's hair and tried to bite her. It was an accident. It didn't really want to bite her, but it instinctually reacted and tried to bite, thinking it was fish. So that was the scariest thing that I ever saw. I've had a few sharks try to bite my fins, but usually they're just curious. But that was the scariest thing that happened to me, but it really happened to my wife.
201 first nutrition break. All right, 4 5. I hear an
question.
announcement in the background, but do you have one more question before we jump to YouTube for a couple questions?
Yeah. Hi, Andy. My name is Grace. What is the biggest shark you've ever filmed?
The biggest shark I've ever filmed was in the Galapagos. It was a massive pregnant whale shark. I'm sure you guys know that the whale shark is the biggest shark in the world. It's considered the biggest fish in the world. And do you guys know what the smallest shark in the world is? Everyone pretty knows knows the whale sharks. What's the smallest?
Minnow. Minnow.
The minnow? Well, specifically to sharks, the biggest shark is the whale shark, and the smallest is called the pygmy lantern shark. It's a tiny, super tiny shark. It gets to be like 6 inches or something, and its eyes glow. It lives in the super deep sea, and it's called a lantern shark. Lantern because it's like has light. It glows in the dark, pretty much.
All right, thanks, fantastic 4 5s. We're gonna grab a few questions from YouTube here. Let's see. Okay, so Miss Rahim's class would like to know, Andy, what's the most interesting thing you've learned about sharks?
The most interesting thing, wow. I often say that each has a personality is really interesting because, they all truly act uniquely, even though they could be the same species or different sharks in the same. But recently, I learned that one of the most fascinating, interesting things is that whale sharks are the only shark, and I think the only animal on Earth that actually has teeth on its eyeballs. It has protective dermal denticles, which is the same kind of like protective sheath or shield that a shark's skin provides. If you zoom in on shark skin, you'll see all these tiny little plates. They're like shields, but they're really considered teeth as well, these dermal denticles. And whale sharks have them protecting their eyes because whale sharks have very big eyes because they're a big animal. And to protect their eyes from other fish coming and trying to bite their eyes or gouge their eyes or parasites, they literally have teeth on their eyes. And if you Google it, you can even see photographs and pictures showing like close-up shots of, a whale shark with teeth on its eyes, which just sounds crazy to me, but sharks never disappoint.
Very cool. Aurora in Miss Peltier's class wants to know more about how you breathe underwater. Can you talk a little bit more about your gear?
Yeah, that's a great question because there's so many different types of ways you could just do, like I said, we often use the full face mask systems with scuba tanks. I was just diving yesterday. All of my scuba tanks are now at the scuba shop getting refilled. And basically, this is a tiny little version of a scuba tank here. But basically, you fill this with compressed air, and it's made out of steel, so you can fit a ton of air into there. And you wear this on your back. You use a regulator. And the only biggest, the biggest thing you have to pay attention to when you scuba is just to never try to come up too fast because you are breathing in compressed air, and as it rises, it expands. And that can cause problems with your lungs and different embolisms and crazy things. But mostly we use scuba diving, but we also do free diving where you just hold your breath and you're basically snorkeling. And I took a free diving class, and it taught me to be able to dive as deep as 120 feet on one breath. But you can even pack your breaths where you take multiple breaths and you're packing your diaphragm with air. But I was able to hold my breath for 5 minutes on a single breath. And that was with training. A professional free dive instructor academy trained me. And it's pretty incredible. But we also use rebreathers, which the military uses, which have no bubbles. When you're breathing on scuba, regular scuba, it basically, you exhale bubbles. But on a rebreather, your bubbles go back into your system. There's a thing called a scrubber that scrubs out the CO2, adds more oxygen, and then you can breathe for hours, 8 hours at a time, and not have to come back up, which is pretty amazing. That was a long answer. Sorry about that.
No, it's cool. You had the small version. I've got one of mine here handy here in my office. You can see they get a little bit bigger here.
Much bigger, yeah.
You can hear that compressed air in there.
Oh, you got some air. You're ready to dive. I love it.
Oh, always. You never know what opportunity is going to come up. It's springtime here in Canada.
There you go. There you go.
All right. Let's get some more classrooms up here. Let's go Royal School, room 15. How are we doing today? If you want to go ahead and unmute your microphone, let's grab a question or two. Hey, Gru.
Hi. Jade had a question about what is the rarest shark?
Yes, I see that on the chat. Sorry, that was one of the first questions. So what is the rarest shark? That's a great question. I would have to consult with the internet, but one of the rarest sharks is the mega mouth shark. It's a really bizarre looking shark. It's quite large. It's not as big as a whale shark, but it's on the bigger end of sharks. And it has a giant wide mouth with strange looking teeth. They've encountered a few of them in Japan, but there's another one called the frilled shark, which has these really, really bright red gills. But the frilled shark, the mega mouth shark, the jaguar shark. Just kidding. There's a film called The Life Aquatic. Where they have the jaguar shark. But yeah, I think probably the mega mouth is up there as one of the most rare sharks.
Okay, thank you, Andy. I just have one more question, if that's okay, because my students are super excited to listen to sharks. We have lots of shark fans in here. Ada, can you ask your questions? Nice enough.
What is your favorite camera to use when you're filming sharks?
My favorite camera to use while filming sharks, to be totally honest, it's just a GoPro. It's just these tiny little cameras. And I often just like to go, for instance, when I do my research here in Florida, I'm expecting one day for a great white shark to show up on one of my dives. So I always just have a GoPro strapped to my BCD or clipped to my BCD. So for fun and just to always have something on me, a GoPro. But when I'm shooting for Shark Week or the BBC or any of these big networks or Netflix, they have requirements where I do need to use a bigger camera. They prefer the red camera, which at the very beginning, the first video that Joe showed was all shot on the red camera. It does slow motion. You can shoot up to 8K resolution. So there used to be HD or standard def HD, then 4K, now 8K. So super high resolution, good slow motion. But yeah, red cameras are probably my go-to, and then GoPros are my favorite.
All right. Thanks, Royal School. Great questions. Moore's fourth graders. How are you doing today? I see an awkward in your classroom.
Ryan has a question.
What's your favorite moment when you were filming?
Favorite moment? So probably in Australia, about 4 years ago, I was outside of the cage with these great white sharks. And then these two great white sharks that basically looked like brothers. They looked like twins. They were the same size, the same sex, the same pigmentation patterns on their dorsal fins and on their caudal fins. And they were swimming around me outside of the cage like fighter jets in perfect synchrony. And they stayed right next to each other. And for like 5 minutes, these sharks just cruised around me, checked me out. And I couldn't believe that they were right side by side with each other. And then I actually went back to that same location nearly one and a half years later. And those two same sharks were still swimming with each other, still hanging out with each other. A lot of people, everyone knows that whales and dolphins and mammals, gorillas, humans, we have family units. We thrive as families, as communities. Most people think sharks, they do everything on their own. When they're born, they're just lonely lords of the sea, and they always operate on their own time and their own instincts and their own mission. But it's not true. They're very social. Sharks will hang out in the thousands in Cocos Island, in the Galapagos. The hammerhead sharks will school. You get thousands. And great whites are known to aggregate at certain locations, and we're starting to learn that they have more of a family unit than we think they do. They have brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles, and they interact with each other. So Anyway, that's a long answer, but swimming with these two brothers in Australia, I think if you go to YouTube and you type in Great White Shark Brothers, you'll see the video. And yeah, it was an amazing experience. They didn't try to eat me or bite me, but they were just cruising around.
That's amazing. We have one more question. Go ahead, Ray.
Can sharks hear?
Yes, yes. They can hear. How many, you guys know how many senses that humans have, right?
Yeah.
Five. And do you know how many senses that sharks have?
Six.
Keep going.
Eight.
They're thought to have eight, all the same, sorry, my bad. It's thought to have seven. All the same ones that we have. You have the sight, the smell, the taste, the touch, the sound. What am I missing? We have five, like seeing, hearing, tasting, what else? Touching, and
Smelling.
yeah, sorry, five. Now the sharks also have an electro sense. You know, they have these tiny, this actually, I don't know if it shows it, but they have these tiny little, they're called ampullae of Lorenzini, these tiny little electro sensors that can detect any sort of weak electrical impulses or any electrical current, whereas we don't really have that sense. The sharks also have something that's called a lateral line that runs along the whole length of their body that detects pressure changes and also minute vibration. A fish or something, you know, meters away or quite a distance away, and they can feel the vibration and pick that up. Or with their electrosense, they can detect stingrays in the sand. So I forget even what the question was, but something about shark senses.
It was can sharks hear?
Yes, they can definitely hear. And that's the thing. They hear a lot of low frequency sounds. So often we do a trick underwater. It works very well with bull sharks and other sharks. I don't recommend doing this. Seriously, this can attract sharks. Is if you take an empty water bottle, like just a single use, not ideally, but like just a water bottle, and you fill it up with air and you take it underwater and you crinkle it. You crank. Basically, the sharks hear that, and it sounds like bones crunching and flesh tearing. It sounds like something being eaten, like a crackling of fish bones. And sharks will often respond to that instantly. They also will hear you spearfishing, and if they hear your bands, if you shoot the gun and the bands snap, they'll often respond to that. So sharks definitely use their sight, their sound, their smell. They use all the senses to survive, and you know, they're opportunistic. They can't go to the store. They got to feed. You know, they got to hunt.
All right, thanks, fourth graders. I'm gonna tuck you backstage. I'm going to grab a couple more classrooms from the camera, but I'm going to grab a couple YouTube ones first. So first one here is from Miss Gertzer's crew. Andy, they want to know your thoughts on shark fin soup.
Shark fin soup. Yeah. I guess my thoughts on it are I'm not a big fan, obviously. I think when a lot of sharks are targeted for shark fin soup, they're just cutting the fins off and throwing this animal that's often alive back into the ocean. It's a very cruel, it's a very horrible way to kill something or to utilize a resource. If people are going to utilize sharks, there are certain species of sharks that are sustainable, as in they can be fished and they reproduce quickly enough to be used as a food source. But a lot of shark fin soup sharks are just targeted for the fins. They're killed. The rest is wasted. You know, it's thought to have certain superpowers, or it's a status symbol that if you can afford shark fin soup at your wedding, then you're a rich person or you're well off, and that makes you cool. Or it is a cultural thing. It's often found in Asia. Again, I think you know, as we evolve and we realize that sharks are very important for the oceans, for our health, for the oxygen we breathe. Like no matter where you live, the ocean is providing oxygen to the planet, and the sharks are keeping it stable and healthy and clean and maintaining a balance. When you take them out, it's not a good thing. There's catastrophic effects. So shark fin soup, yeah, not really a fan. I think they could slowly evolve to have another status symbol or something else at your wedding. Maybe get something else. I don't know. I'm not great at answering these questions, but I'm not a fan of shark fin soup. I think it should change.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to go to a camera class in a second, but one more here from YouTube. Mr. Ween's crew is wondering, can you remember the first shark that you ever swam with?
I can actually. And I have to say, how do I say this nicely? I was so disappointed. I was in Australia and I was on the Great Barrier Reef and I was with these Australian dive masters and all this, and they're talking about all their tiger sharks and the great whites they have and everything. And so I had never seen a shark yet, and I was so excited to see my first shark in the wild. And then I did. I saw my shark, but it was a white-tip reef shark, which was probably about this big. It was tiny. I shouldn't say I was disappointed. It was so cute, but I guess I had big expectations. I thought I was going to see a great white or a big 18-foot tiger, but instead it was like a 2-3 foot white-tip reef shark. But that also opened my eyes to realize that it's great if you love great whites or the hammerheads or the tigers. That's amazing. But there are over 400 species of sharks out there. They're even saying up close to 500 species now. So there's basically a shark out there for everyone, and all sharks play a critical role. The great whites are at the top, and then it all trickles down to the rest, and they all play a critical role in just the overall health and function of the ocean. So, yeah.
I had a similar first experience to you, Andy. It was on the Great Barrier Reef when I lived in Australia for a year, and it was a white-tip reef shark. Couldn't have been more than 2 or 3 feet long. Yeah. But I'll never forget, because we were just snorkeling. It was a little snorkeling afternoon, how the group I was with turned around and went the other way.
Oh, really?
Even just this was enough. They saw a shark and they turned around and went the other way. Meanwhile, I was pretty excited. This is pretty cool.
Oh, that's great.
But to see a whole group of swimmers go whoop and turn away from a shark that was only a couple of feet long, that's something that I won't forget.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, the perspective people have on sharks is that they're so deadly and they're so dangerous, and they have an amazing marketing team, because really the fatalities with regards to shark attacks on humans each year are generally in the single digits, less than 10 people, where, there's so many other things out there that are so much more deadly. But it is quite, a scary thought to be bitten or consumed by a sea monster. But in reality, if they were out to eat people, we would know about it. There would be way more than 10 fatalities a year, where a lot of people using the water, there would be a lot more attacks. But luckily, sharks are smart, and they've literally done studies. They've done, whether it was on Mythbusters, a TV show years ago, or even recently, I just did a Shark Week show. We take human blood, we take fish blood, you release them in the water at the same time. The sharks have zero reaction to the human blood. They almost avoid it. It's a foreign smell. It's not something they're used to. Fish blood is something they love. I don't know how to equate it to humans, but it's like you're walking down the street and you smell pizza, or you're walking down the street and you smell something complete that you've never eaten before and don't know what it tastes like, or I don't know. I got to come up with a good analogy for that, but yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Either way.
Yeah. All right. It's a great point. Millions of people swim in the ocean every day. We're definitely not on the menu. We'd be hearing a lot different stories if that was the case. Mrs. Carnes, 4th graders, we're ready for you if you got a couple questions.
Yes. Hi, good morning, and thank you for letting us.
I lost the audio again for some reason. So should I do a little quick reboot? I think I'm going to have to.
Okay, we're going to give Andy a second. The audio was going really well for us, but we lost it for the last couple questions. So we'll get Andy back in, and we'll take your questions. Here we go. He's back already.
Yep. Sorry, guys. There we go.
Okay.
Hi, good morning, and thank you for letting us join you.
Yes, thanks for being here. This is awesome.
So this is our friend Taz, and he has a question.
Are there any other animals you film than sharks?
Are there any other animals that I film instead of sharks?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been lucky. I've worked on 5 different lion films. Here's a cool picture of a big male lion that I took years ago in Africa. And even here, you can see my feet right up there next to these African lions feeding in the Serengeti. I've done polar bear films, king cobra film. This cobra film was interesting because I didn't know anything about snakes aside from what I read, people told me. So I had the sort of mentality that a lot of people have with sharks. I was really afraid of the snake, didn't want to get anywhere near it. It's going to try to bite me. And it's true, they can, just like a shark, but they taught me, hey, if you're not aggressive to the snake, if you're not poking or stepping on it or trying to harass it, most likely they're just going to be defensive and they're not going to initiate an attack unless you put your face right up next to the king cobra or something, nonsensical. But yeah, I've been lucky. But I have to say, and killer whales are incredible. I've been lucky to film killer whales in New Zealand, Patagonia, and Norway. But hands down, my favorite animals to film are the sharks. It's a peaceful world underwater. The sharks are some of the most polite predators I've ever met. You'll see a lot of funny shows this year on Shark Week where we had celebrities. We even have someone jumping out of a helicopter into some shark action. We have these crazy shows coming up. And when you watch Shark Week, you're going to hear like loud music and scary sounds. And it's funny, when I'm underwater filming these sharks, there's no music, there's no explosions or sound effects. All I hear is my own bubbles. And every once in a while, I'll be talking on the mast to the other team. But yeah, I'm rambling again. I always forget the questions and just go into the ramble.
No, that was perfect. You have another question for us, fourth graders?
Yes, we do. This is Hannah.
Hey, Hannah.
Are there like any special places in the world where there's like only like special sharks, like not great whites or anything?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, what's cool about sharks is a lot of them occupy different areas, different niches on the planet. The great whites kind of like the slightly colder, more temperate water. We do get them down here in Florida, but they're starting to leave, or a lot of them have left when the water warms up. So a lot of the things that determine where our sharks will live is basically a food source, also temperature. Like the great whites could eat as many seals as they want down in Antarctica, but it's a little too cold for them down there as far as we know. But then you have sharks like the Greenland shark that can withstand really cold water. These sleeper sharks are down in the depths. But yeah, there's certain areas. There's a place specifically in Australia where they have these sharks called epaulet sharks that are known to walk on land. Joe, I think we talked about this. So yeah. You've been there, right?
Well, I've been there, but I've only seen them in captivity. I haven't seen one doing its thing. Right.
And is that Lord Howe Island, or is it Heron, Great Heron? I forget the name of the exact location, but back to the initial question, there are certain special places on the planet where only these specific sharks live, like these epaulet sharks. And then even these little sharks, they have sharks called the pajama sharks. It literally looks like they're wearing pajamas. They have stripes and stuff. They live in the kelp forest in South Africa, and there's different cat sharks. But yeah, and then there's the famous cookie cutter shark. I'm sure you guys know. They're often deep water sharks that come up at nighttime, and they'll feed on squid, and they'll feed on elephant seals, and they take these cookie cutter sized scoops out of your skin. There was actually a deep sea, a long distance swimmer that had a cookie cutter try to take a scoop out of his chest, and then eventually I think it took a scoop out of his calf. But it wasn't too serious. But every once in a while, even cookie cutters will make a mistake.
All right. If you do want to check out the epaulet sharks, if you look up on YouTube, there's a great BBC clip with their Great Barrier Reef special where it's low tide and the shark is scurrying along, climbing out of the water, going to the next tide pool. It's very cool to see the way that they move along. Well, we're at that stage, Andy. We have so many classrooms with us today from all across North America. Which was so awesome. Your questions were incredible as always. Andy, thank you. Thank you for letting us steal some time. We conquered the audio, I think.
Yeah, that was cool. I was like, no, because we were just talking before it kicked off. As soon as it came on, couldn't hear you. But luckily, the reboot worked. But yeah, guys, thanks so much for your time. It's always an honor to talk to you guys. I remember when I was young, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And then I just followed my dreams. I love sharks. I know you guys have a lot of passions, and just like stay true to it. Just chase it, go for it. You can do anything you want. And now with the internet, and you can literally be communicating with your heroes and your astronauts and doctors or filmmakers, whoever. You can reach out to them and learn from them, and align yourself with the right people to live the life you dream and do whatever you want, as long as you're doing good things and you're being good people and being kind and just live the life you dream.
Perfect. Well, if anyone can stick around, in about 10 minutes, I'm starting another event on our channel with Victor Vescovo. He was the first guy to dive to the deepest points of each of our oceans. So that should be fun. We'll talk a little deep sea. For now, though, I'm going to put the classrooms back in who are still backstage with us. If you guys want to get nice and loud.
Oh, God, guys.
A big goodbye and thank you for Thank you to our YouTube crew. We'll see you more ocean events later. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Andy.